that is not surface, let me put it that way. But I guess we'll wait and see. Let's speak about some politics now, okay? The Independent National Electoral Commission has initiated a probe over the leakage of actor Emeka Ike's voter data and an alleged misuse of unauthorized access to his database. Now, I would also like to point out that he is the NDC House of Representatives candidate. In a statement on Tuesday, INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Mohammed Haruna, said the probe followed allegations regarding an alleged unauthorized access to the Commission's continuous voter registration database and the subsequent publication of information on a candidate in the recent primaries of the Nigeria Democratic Congress in the FCT, Federal Capital Territory. Now, the Commission said an audit trail from the preliminary investigation has enabled it to identify the user account through which the information was accessed. The Commission, however, assured Nigerians that the retrieval of a specific voter record does not indicate any compromise of its broader voter registration infrastructure or the personal data of more than 90 million registered voters. I think that statement contradicts itself because while it may not have been a hack in quotes, it definitely points out a major breach of the system. The fact that an individual can go into the system and, I think it's the fact that it was even for personal reasons. This entire situation began as a spat between Emeka Ike leading a protest over the party's primaries and perhaps in a bid to prove that he was not eligible in some for it because he had just recently moved his polling unit from Imo State to Abuja. His information was shared online. That included his picture and other sensitive details. The fact that this could even happen, somebody could go in there, speak to somebody, one or two, and bring out that information and post it online. I think we've moved past the position of a probe. I'm curious about INEC's audit system. We always talk about this. Every single institution in Nigeria has systems. You start at the gate, you go in through the gate man. There probably is a record that lets people know who goes in and who goes out. There's somebody that should be in charge of that audit system who has to approve before any information is given out. Who is the person in charge of that system? Is this person trustworthy? Is this person easily cajoled into doing something like this? And if at all, why is somebody in that institution at all? Has this happened before? Is this the first of its kind? And I think most importantly, what does this tell Nigerian voters about their votes? Does it tell them that their vote counts? If somebody is aggrieved, perhaps, or if somebody has ulterior motives, what are the odds that somebody can once again go back into the system and tweak one or two things or bring out certain informations to harass or coerce Nigerians? Do they feel safe to vote? I think that's the bigger issue. So while, INEC has said it was not a hack, I think it's even a bigger issue because this exposes a serious lapse within the entire system that they have, and it needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
All right. Adiso, you want to go first?
No, I can.
I mean, it may not be a hack, but of course it's a breach.
Yes.
And it is unacceptable. The sort of information that came out from INEC, I think that it's a bit untoward. That's not how you communicate when, at a time like this, when you're dealing with trust issues. Given the fact that, Professor Joshua Mukpiton was just recently in a situation where people were doubting, those tweets that he had the other time and how he managed to, pull himself out of the old situation. We can't have this sort of a thing now and just appear to be waving it aside. It's an uncomfortable situation that demands the sort of response that will reassure Nigerians that more than 90 million Nigerians who have their data, in that system will be said, because this is such a red flag towards an election year.
It is.
We're not saying that people came from outside to hack that thing. We're saying that, just as you have admitted, there's an insider who misused privilege, who misused access. But not only did that insider misuse privilege and access, he or she was probably in cahoot with a politically exposed person who now used that information to mock, an aspirant or a potential candidate of an opposition party. That is the crux of the matter. And what has happened? We're being told that there's a probe. We're being told that there's an investigation. Emeka Ike himself is saying that all I want now, we heard that he wanted to go to court. He's now saying that all he wants now is an apology. It's beyond an apology.
Yes.
Because Nigerians would demand, what has INEC done? What has the Nigerian police done? Because it's an important issue. And there are two key people involved, apart from INEC as an institution. One is whoever, misuses privilege or access to pull out that information and share it with a non-staff. And then Larry Olayinka himself, who had the audacity.
Audacity is the word.
To post that thing.
Audacity
to
is the
mock. You can get away with being loquacious and being being partisan. But this is beyond loquaciousness. This is beyond partisanship. This is a situation that is not ideal and that is against an institution that is held by the public in trust, against INEC, against Nigerian people. And therefore, if there's an error of judgment on your part, are you good enough to keep this sort of position that you are keeping at this point? What is your principle? The minister saying, for example, as to the sort of misjudgment that you have gone through. Should you still be a special advisor or communications or whatever to the minister? Do we even know if he has deleted this problematic post, since it was shared on his Facebook or social media pages? So what was the discussion between him and the Nigerian police? Has he apologized to anybody? Has he been found wanting? Should he keep his position with what has happened? Those are the necessary questions that Nigeria must ask. And it is beyond partisanship. It is beyond being stupid. It is the fact that Nigerians cannot trust you because of the access that you have to to people in high position. That's what it means.
Because of access. This is very important, because what we're talking about here is that, for me, I think this is worse that it's not a technical glitch, because a technical glitch is something that could possibly be fixed.
Yeah.
That is probably beyond your control temporarily.
Yes, but what we're hearing now is that INEC does not have a technical integrity problem. They have an institutional integrity problem. And this is terrible timing going into the next elections. We have already seen, conversations happening online about Joash Amuhuta and whether or not he's partisan, whether or not he posted support for the APC when he was still a private citizen. Now he is supposed to head the independent electoral body, and people have lacked confidence. I saw a poll that said less than a quarter of Nigerians have confidence in INEC as an institution. This is the sort of issue that highlights that. Politicians have said in the past that, APC has access to the 93 million Nigerians that are registered voters. But what we are seeing now is not even necessarily a powerful member of government, but an aide to the member of government getting the private data of a citizen, and not only accessing it, but sharing it. In a country where we use the Cyber Crimes Act to punish women who do not like the taste of tomato paste, and the structure, our security structure, will take her to court because she complained about the taste of tomato paste. We're seeing a case here that looks to me like a data breach case and like a possible cyber crimes case, not just for the individual who sent this information out to Larry Olayinka, but Larry Olayinka himself, who then shared this information with the public. It also comes to this question of, there's an idea of who can belong where. You have the conversation in Lagos, and, sometimes I understand that conversation, but this also came from trying to argue that somebody is new to Abuja and therefore should not be participating, in the electoral process in the way that they want to. Someone who's an aide to the minister, Wike, who's a former governor of Rivers State, saying that somebody else is from Imo State and therefore, it does not belong in Abuja in that way, or should not be able to run for an election in Abuja. The minister is also new to Abuja, and he's the minister, and no one is having that conversation. So, in a country when we're thinking about accountability, when we're thinking about institutional integrity when it comes to INEC, when we're thinking about the integrity of our electoral process, this case must be prosecuted to the extent of the law.
Absolutely.
Whoever sent it, either through Facebook or WhatsApp, we must know the names. We must see the charge sheet. We must see the result of the investigation. This should not be an apology to the individual and person, that is a personal issue, but this is actually a public issue.
Absolutely. It's a question of, we have to move on, but
Yes.
just to say very quickly that this is a question about the fact that there must be consequences, for misdemeanor.
Yes.
And there are two
Nigerians-
people that we have that have been identified, whoever it is inside INEC, and of course, Larry Olayinka himself.
Now, to be very honest, I think for Nigerians watching, it's very important to take note of some of these issues, because this is where, when accountability fails, you really get to know where you stand as a Nigerian. Because truly, if nothing happens and this situation gets swept under the rug, the primary person, like you said, the person within INEC and Larry Olayinka, if nothing happens, we will not forget and we will keep that in mind.
Something
and that
must
will
happen.
say a lot about INEC.